Hello and welcome to episode number 51 of Just Chillin'. Happy New Year, everybody. Did you miss us? I know we're a couple days later than normal. That's my fault. I got sick. I'm one of your hosts, Sean Hoffman.
And I am your other host, Andy Bell. Happy New Year, everyone. Happy New Year to you.
Yay!
Happy New Year to you, Sean. Dude, really concerned to hear earlier on in the week that you were well. What have you been up to? I mean, tell us about the sickness.
Oh man, it's been it's been compounding since the previous week. So previous week, I was like, oh, I got this thing in this pinch over my arm. And I was just telling you before we started recording, I'm like, dude, I'm falling apart. I feel like I am just falling apart at the seams. Just the duct tape and bubble gum are just getting cold and breaking off. And I pulled the crown off of one of my teeth with the stupid caramels that I made. Because I was being an idiot. I got the pinched nerve. I got super sick after New Year's. On New Year's Day with some food poisoning that knocked me out for 2 days. I know we were supposed to record at one of those days at really early in the morning. And I remember waking up and I'm like, I have to message Andy. And it took every fiber of my being to get Discord open or whatever it was I messaged you on. And I'm like, Andy, I did the speed that I don't even know if the message was coherent.
Go on
I did
without me. Go on
I did
without me. I can't make it.
I did the speech to text. It's like, can we reschedule? Send.
It's fine. It's fine. Your health is way too important. No. We can record whenever. We're cool, and we're still recording, weekly. So
yeah, we got it in. We got it in.
Got it in. I'm just glad you're feeling a lot better.
I'm feeling a lot better, and we've also had a guest this whole time. One of Madison's friends came, and it was just and I think that just makes it so much worse too, because you can't just be I'm just gonna go crawl under the covers and sweat it out for 3 days.
I mean, you said enough. You can't just be. You can't be. You just can't. You can't just exist. You still gotta think about entertaining a guest. I understand.
It's well, I'll get up and I'll try to give it the old college try and see how it goes. And it's well, that didn't. Well, I guess I'm right back where I started. No, I'm a lot better now. Getting the crown fixed on Monday. Yay, go me. And things are turning around. New Year. It started snowing again. So all of our snow melted, and now we got dumped on again yesterday. And so that was fun. Things are good though, man. Things are good. I'm looking forward to a new year. It's looking at all the positive things we got coming. And just, I don't know. I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful, and it's like that refreshing. It's like a new shirt, putting on a new pair of clothes. And you know what? I'm optimistic about my new look. And then it's fresh. You haven't gone out. No one's giving you a dirty look or been like, oh, you like that sweater? It's I'm still feeling good. It's 2025. Let's go. Just fresh start. Here we go. How about yourself?
Yeah, new beginnings, new opportunities. Yeah, no, I'm with you there, brother. Me? No, I'm good. It's been an interesting week because well, first of all, I owe you a massive thank you. A huge thank you.
I don't know why. No, I don't think you do.
I received a box of goodies from you, which included some very Wookiee centric presents in there, which were really appreciated. But I also the MVP of the presents was this most amazing rug or blanket, sorry, that you gave me, folks. I mean, I'm a 6'2" guy, so I'm a reasonably tall gentleman. This blanket that Madison and Sean very kindly sent me is huge. It engulfs my body 2, maybe 3 times. It's massive, and it's of a really good. It's of a really compelling graphic or print of the binary sunset and R2 and 3PO looking into the binary sunset. It's really cool, really cool. And with what's been going on the health side of things and all that kind of stuff, it was very, very, very welcome. And thank you, brother. Thank you very much
Yeah.
indeed. Especially, sorry, I know I said especially the blanket, but there were a couple of bootleg items in there as well that I noticed, which went down a treat. And my family may well have heard a very, very high pitched squeal of excitement from me when I realized that there were a couple of bootleg Wookiee items in that
Well,
box.
you have to pack the box and make the shipping worth it. So it's like there's room. So I'm
Yeah,
gonna fill this freaking box to the
yeah.
brim.
And you certainly did. You certainly did. Thank you very much indeed.
Yeah.
Apart from that, it's been a good week. It's been a lot quieter this week in terms of guests. Obviously, when I broke the news about what's been going on with the house, I've been inundated with guests, which has been lovely. The love and the outpouring of support that I've had from both face to face and remotely as well has been amazing. But it has been quite tiring. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It's been quite sometimes it's been very, very tiring indeed. And I felt kind of exhausted by the end of the day. And this last week has been a lot quieter, and I've kind of been able to kind of just mooch about in my in my slovenly appearance, and just take it easy and kind of work out, let the meds do their work and all that kind of stuff. So it's been, in that respect, it's been I've enjoyed the peace and quiet. What else has been going on? Oh yeah, about having some fun again with the drugs. If you remember the shenanigans I told you about with when we had Chris on about moving drugs around. I'm moving drugs around again. There's a little bit more balancing that needs to go on with some of my meds, and that's having some on occasion having some excuse me, interesting side effects, which take me down to or take me into a purple haze every now and again, which is always good fun. Children. And but apart from that, it's been really, really quiet. Got lots to talk about in terms of what I've been consuming, because I have been consuming an awful lot. But in the meantime, have you picked up anything in the news, buddy?
You know the answer to this. It's the most like I haven't even listened to the podcast. I've been dead for a week. I do feel like there's some trailers, some cool trailers that have dropped, but I will get back to what those trailers were when I look them up. But that's for right now. No, I don't have anything.
Do you know what? I don't think I've got a goddamn thing either. I don't think I've got anything at all. This may well be the shortest podcast. I was about to say of all time, but it's us. It's us talking. We'll always fill the void. But no, I mean, I haven't picked up anything. I've mainly got lots of things to talk about on the Skeleton Crew, which I keep watching over and over and over again.
Then let's just say get your news somewhere else this week, because we don't got it.
Yeah, sorry, folks. I didn't pick up anything. I promise to do a better job next week. Which, by the way, I need to make an announcement. Next week is our anniversary. Next week, my friend Sean and I have been talking at each other and to each other. I'm not sure which is more accurate, but we've been talking together on this rinky-dink podcast for over a year. So we're celebrating our first year's anniversary. I'm absolutely delighted to confirm that we will have a special guest, someone that means an awful lot to both me and to Sean, and who everyone will know. But he is an absolute diamond in the rough, as they say. when it comes down to podcasting personalities. So really looking forward to that for next week. So as we do not have, so please tune in. Make sure you tune in next week. So as we don't have any news for this week, I'm going to move on to consuming. Now, I'm a little bit sicky poo. You're a little bit sicky poo. Have you had the opportunity to use that time to crash on the couch and watch, read, or play anything compelling?
Besides the copious amounts of champagne I consumed on New Year's Eve, which I think I'm done with. I think I'm good for a while. I've been consuming. So we had the guest, and what's funny is whenever we have certain types of certain guests, Madison's mindset where she's like, she doesn't like to start shows until the series is over. That's her thing that she's started over the last couple of years, because she doesn't like to wait. She kind of wants to binge the whole series. But she has this friend who really wants her to watch Stranger Things, even though Madison doesn't like horror, doesn't like stuff along those lines. So we kind of did this whole trade, and this friend is wanting to go into law enforcement, so we wanted her to watch The Wire, and I'm a third wheel in this situation, so I'm like, I want Madison to watch The Batman finally, because I want her to watch The Penguin. And her friend's like, yeah, you should watch The Batman. So what we did was we ended up watching The Batman, which Madison really enjoyed. And then we watched a couple episodes of The Wire, which freaked me out because it's God, I do not have the time to rewatch this entire show, but it is so good. And then we watched the first couple episodes of Stranger Things, which my only comment on that is it's crazy how different the beginning of that show is and where it is now. That first season is the dark, double dark, before they go into the neon romanticized 80s, back when it's still dingy Indiana 80s, real 80s. It's a very different show. But we did that, so we watched those. I don't really have anything to add about those. I've watched Skeleton Crew, which we'll talk about. And the other thing that I watched was I finished Game of Worms, Dune Prophecy. I finished that season. We could talk about whenever you get caught up, because it's interesting. I like where it's going. I think the only thing I'll say is it's not a spoiler, but I feel like they're buckling in for the long haul. They're not making this a 2-season. They're trying to well,
there's so much history, isn't there?
Yeah, they're trying to go into it, and
there's so much history they can there's so much. So an awful lot of this, my understanding. So sorry. First off, I'm sorry I haven't kept abreast on where we are at the moment.
Okay.
The sheer volume of visitors that we've had until this last week has meant that it's not that I haven't had time, just that in between those visits I've just been asleep.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean. I've kind of been
visitors burn the candle at both ends.
Exactly. So ironically, this week I have consumed an awful lot, but unfortunately it hasn't been Silo, which I'm kicking myself because I'm hearing such great things about it, and it hasn't been Dune Prophecy, which again I'm kicking myself because Dune is my gig. Dune is my bag.
Well, but that justifies it though. That's a reason for not consuming it. It's we're being satiated in so many other ways. You can wait till some of this other stuff's done and then consume it, because it's not like everybody's out there talking about Dune Prophecy spoilers.
No. So we will talk about it. We will talk about it. And in fact, what would be good is if we do a little bit of a hunt as to, there's a few other of our buddies that like Dune as well. I'm wondering if they've maybe gone down that rabbit hole as well, and if they have, then we can turn it into something for a conversation topic. But there's an awful lot of content that has been written not only by Frank Herbert, but after Frank died, his son, I believe Kevin J. Anderson. I could be completely wrong. But it's one of the Star Wars writers. This is really bad podcasting. Anyway, some of the backstory and certainly the prequel history has been written by or created by Frank Herbert, his son. And the long and the short of it is that just trying to
Google confirms that Kevin J. Anderson helped with the prequel. He's a prequel.
Right. Okay. Fine. Great. Sorry, you were doing what I was doing badly because I was trying to procrastinate.
You're trying to vamp and do it at the same time.
Yeah. No. Well, let's not do that again. Okay. So the long and short of it is they've got a lot of backstory there. They've got a lot of they've still got stories to tell. And because obviously it's his son, it's kind of almost it is essentially canon. So I'm glad that they seem to be going in, from what you're saying, they're going in for the long haul, which is great, rather than a production which may or may not be renewed, and therefore you can kind of, you know how you sometimes get that vibe when a new show comes out, and the way that they leave it at the end, it may well be a one and done, or it may well be a continuation.
Yeah.
And sometimes that kind of it almost derails the value, in my mind, derails the value of the production, because exactly. So I'm glad that's the case. But what we'll do is we'll spend some time on that once I have caught up.
Yeah, because I have questions. I think it's the whole show, whenever we do that, it's gonna be like big brain people explain Dune to Sean, because I've consumed nothing besides the movies lightly. And I think it'll be interesting to hear what other people have to say about it.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. No, I'm up for that. I'm well up for that.
I believe that's all I've watched. I believe that's all I've consumed. I believe. I could be wrong now, but I'll keep you posted.
All right. No, it's fine. What I've got no, that's fine. Right. First things first. I've been on a bit of a spending spree.
Nice.
I've kind of this week. I'm resigning myself to the fact that I've got to buckle up. I'm going to be in this for the long haul now. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen. I need to go through.
You're nesting.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of resigning myself to the fact that there's some treatment coming up, and I need to get myself prepared for that. So what I've done is I think I told you and Chris that for Christmas, Lucy very kindly got me the last Chewbacca Lego. So I thought, well, before I tackle that, because that looks like a monster, I'll choose something a little bit smaller. So I don't have the box with me. Yes, I do. Talk amongst yourselves. Hold on a second. Talk amongst yourselves.
So while Andy's looking that up, I will tell a story that's similar to this, because it reminded me. So one thing I did do this week was I built my Lego Fox that I got for my 3-in-1 Fox that I got for Christmas, and it's awesome. I love it, and it's awesome. But it also inspired me because I remember seeing your giant Chewbacca, and I'm like, so they've nailed this fox head. I mean, the whole thing is fantastic, but they have this little fox head, and one of my favorite movies is Fantastic Mr. Fox. And I'm like, I wonder if I could take something like the giant Chewbacca and adapt it with this fox head and make a Lego Fantastic Mr. Fox in a way. I'm like, if I was smarter with Lego, I would take this on, but really it's one of those like, that'd be neat, I wish
Well,
they do
dude,
it.
that is a thing. You know, I mean, these guys that do their MOOCs, they call them MOOC. The Lego guys, they do their.
Adult fan of Lego, AFOLs.
I have no idea, mate. My point being is that there are these communities that I've started following quite a few years back now. That actually they go out there and they create their own stuff from multiple pieces. So you know, the UCS Millennium Falcon isn't big enough for you. I'll do one 10 times larger using conventional Lego pieces.
That's what I like about the ideas thing. Like there was somebody put a Satisfactory machine in the ideas thing, and it actually like got enough votes. I don't think they'll ever build it, like for real, but I do like how they're using that pipeline to make really crazy stuff and like
and
reward the fans.
And you've got kind of people that are also building apps that allow you to essentially source the correct brick. Correct brick or correct piece you want to achieve some sort of form factor. Mm-hmm. So it's really, really awesome. Anyway, going back to, so yes, you should do that as part of your creative.
I'll put it on the list. I'll put it on the list.
Just crafting pile of shame that you have.
Yes.
So yeah, what I did was a while ago they've been, or for some time now, they've been producing these MIDI. You know, the Star Wars MIDI sets. So we're talking about like a small small form factor.
They're like they're almost like the Architect series, but like for spaceships and branded stuff.
Yeah. They're about the same size as they're about the same size as your Action Fleet. Is it Action Fleet?
Yeah, essentially. Micro Galaxy Squadron, but I call it Action Fleet.
Yeah. It's about the same. It's about the same proportion or the same scale, sizing. Because they're all different scales. I know before anyone writes it. They're all different scales because they're all different size ships, but they're all kind of in terms of size on the shelf. So I thought I'd treat myself, and I was going to get the Millennium Falcon, and I still will get the Millennium Falcon, but I know that I've got no intention to complete the collection because I think there's about a half a dozen now that they've released. And I may well do the Millennium Falcon, but launched in January, in fact, January the 1st or January the 2nd, something like that. They came out with Home One. So the mothership or the base ship for the Rebel Alliance from, of course, Return of the Jedi is commanded by Admiral Akbar. So I've bought that and I've started that today. And it's a fun build. I mean, it's relatively simple, as you'd expect, but it is a fun build. 559 pieces. I managed to get a tenner off, so it's 50 quid. And so far, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. And so for me, that was a good purchase. On top of that, because I, sorry, let me move things around a little bit. Because of course, I got £10 off the Home One. I kind of thought to myself, well, that leaves me with £10 I would have paid. That I've saved myself, so I may as well spend it. So I bought the manga anthology of Star Wars Visions.
Fuck yeah, so dude, that's cool.
Yeah, you know the Visions, the Visions. I think season 1. Yeah, it's season 1, and it's basically the manga version of they're manga adaptations of the original anime series of the following stories: The Elder, Lop Oko, The Ninth Jedi, and the Twins. And you know how I feel about manga. Yes. You know how I feel. I mean, to this day, my favorite read, one of my favorite reads that I go back to, is the Lost Stars trilogy.
So good.
The artwork is so goddamn good, and you've got a similar type of artwork in this adaptation, and it's great. And again, it was on sale in Amazon. So yeah, I mean, I treated myself to those things this week, which is gonna fill some of my time. So I'm happy about that. So that was what I've been buying. What I've been playing is I don't know if we talked about this or not, but I got a Steam Deck. Did we talk about this? Did we talk about this on the show, or did we talk about it privately? I can't remember.
I feel like I definitely talked about it privately, but I think it may have been mentioned on the show, but I don't think I don't think you've dived into it or anything.
Yeah. So my beloved girls, I say girls, they're my daughters. They're not girls anymore. They're young women that are independent and certainly fending for themselves these days. They very kindly, for reasons, knowing that I would be sitting around for the immediate future, they bought me a Steam Deck. As a result of that, I've been breaking that in. Now I did try and set it up in the hospital, but the hospital Wi-Fi was not great. I even tried to tether it to 5G to set it up, and it wasn't great. Got home, of course, was set up within a day, and ever since then I've been catching up on a few games that on console I had, but I never completed. And so one of them is sorry, let me go back. Is Hogwarts Legacy.
Ooh,
is Hogwarts. And the other one, which I did complete on console, which I'm really getting into at the moment, is Mad Max. You remember the episode the episode it's an old game, but it's such a good story. And it leads so nicely into Fury Road. And obviously subsequently Furiosa as well. All of the locations, Bullet Town, the rest of it, they're all there. And so yeah, I'm replaying that and having a great old time replaying that game on the Steam Deck, which I could not justify buying for myself, but as it was bought for me, I have to say it's an amazing piece of kit. It's an amazing piece of kit, and certainly the advice that Hawes gave me at the time around what handheld to go for if I had a choice, it certainly is the Steam Deck. So that's what I've been playing. What I've been listening to is new, actually, because I am a big fan of Adam Savage. All the way back to the days of Tested, and
Mythbusters and all that stuff.
And Mythbusters. And so every year on the Tested YouTube tech channel, all of the team, they talk about their top 5 things, their top things of any particular year. And Adam, in one of his, because he does a couple, he doesn't just do one, he kind of does top 5 tools, top 5 props, top 5 whatever it is. And in one of his latest videos, he talks about a podcast called Going Rogue. And Going Rogue, I've only just started it, but the long and the short of it is it's now a mature podcast that is available in your podcast of choice. But there are around, crikey, there are around 30 or 40, maybe not that much, maybe 20 or 30 episodes. But originally it was originally conceived as a behind the scenes audio commentary or audio documentary of Rogue One, of what happened in Rogue One. You know, what the background were. You know, how Gareth got involved,
Oh,
the
nice.
the troubles that they had, and she does an amazing job. Sorry, who's the host is Tansy Gardam, and she does an amazing job across 6 episodes on the history of Rogue One from, and I'll read them out: the script, the shoot, the edit, the reshoots, the release. And that's the if you like, that's the compartmentalized six issue podcast of this story. And it's really, really good. It's really, really compelling. And she gets into some quite nitty gritty controversy, the rest of it. Anyway, it's worked so well that she's gone on to do the same for Solo as well. So she's done the same for Solo when originally Lawrence Kasdan was involved, obviously from the start. The recruitment of Lord and Miller, Howard coming in to do the reshoots and to ultimately take over the production. And it's really, really interesting. And then she carries on, and then she diverts, she breaks away from Star Wars, goes into things like James Bond, South Park, The Creator, How to Train Your Dragon, Pirates of the Caribbean, Rebel Moon, Megalopolis. She's gone off. Oh, she did one on the holiday special, actually. 2 weeks ago, she did one on the Star Wars holiday special. Anyway, I haven't listened to them all at the moment, but it is a recommendation from, as I said, Adam Savage, and I've started listening to it. And so far, on the Rogue One side, because I've started obviously from the beginning, it's some really good stuff. It's quite interesting. Okay, so oh gosh, I forgot another purchase. I have also purchased something else. I forgot to tell you about, but maybe you saw it. You'll know that I'm not a Black Series collector. I'm not a collector. You know, I'm not a Black Series collector at all. You know, I gave it up years ago. I just so happened to recently buy Captain
You should
Brutus.
trademark that phrase. You should trademark it.
Put on a t-shirt. I just so happened to buy Captain Brutus recently, out of a whim, because I really thought his design was fantastic. But there's been one character in particular during Skeleton Crew that really has appealed to me. And so when I was perusing the Amazon marketplace, I couldn't help but come across this fella.
He kind of looks like a little blue elephant man. I'm not quite familiar, but he's pretty cool looking though.
Yeah.
Like a little
cool
boy, little blue elephant boy. Sorry.
Yeah. So I have bought I have bought Neil. I can't resist Neil. Neil is the dogs. As we say in the UK, Neil is the dog's bollocks, and I have my own Neil that is comforting me at my bedside at this moment in time. Now, I think that's it in terms of what I want. Am I interested in buying any more? Not really. I mean, Josh the other day was talking. Josh Chapman, our friend over at Star Wars Spelt Out, said that he may have an interest in getting the rest of the crew, and I can see that being compelling. But I'm not. I don't think I'll be buying any more. However, our buddy Kev Garbutt, I was talking to him the other day, suggested that there is a rumor that SM33 may come out as a Black Series, in which case I may have to jump in again. I
have a sneaking, this is a prediction. Here we go. Prediction coming based on nothing but gut feelings. I have a feeling there's going to be another wave of Skeleton Crew kid figures based on, like, this is like the beginning, like the way we got is like, oh, this is them in the beginning. I wonder if we're gonna get new ones, like special edition ones, based on like maybe later episodes or
Could be.
so.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be.
Could be. Could be.
I don't know. I don't know, man. All I can say is, this show has done something to me. This show has done something. We'll talk about it. We are going to talk about it, Wax Lyrical, later. But
now,
this show,
I do have to say, you have got me excited about a Smee figure. But like, if they made a Smee hot toy, I would have a hard time, or at least like a figurine statuette where he's like hunched over, like all mechanical and stuff.
Yeah, but how cool would it be if he could even he's mechanized as well, so he can grow? Because as he gets more intimidating, he kind of like he can puff out his chest plates and the rest of it. Oh, that would be so sick. So sick.
This is something I'm going to get suckered into, like the like the Razor Crest HasLab, where I'm like, oh yeah, they should put the link up now, and I'd pre-order, and then he's going to get destroyed the next freaking episode. I hope not, but that's almost a good sign since they haven't put anything up yet, because it means he's maybe not going to get destroyed, so we're good. But anyways,
I've got even more. Hang on a second. Sorry, dude. I've got even more. I keep forgetting.
So while he's digging that up, I did forget that I received my very first Mondo poster of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, like a special edition version.
Nice.
I didn't realize how massive those things were. I thought it was going to be like a 12 by 18 inch poster. This thing is 24 inches by 36 inches. I don't think I have wall big enough for this. I had to I couldn't just get like a cheap Amazon frame or anything. It's like, dude, I might have to take this somewhere and get this thing like mounted. So
one thing I also did, the very, very last thing I bought this week, I promise you, is I have told you already that, you already know that Chris and Kev got me down the black hole, the rabbit hole of bootleg toy collecting. And
how dare they?
I already told you the story of there was one creator, one maker, one bootlegger in the UK that was making some really good replicas of vintage Star Wars figures, but they were based on They Live. It was a crossover between They Live and Star Wars, and this was the kind of the artwork. And Chris was involved in the artwork for the backing cards. Anyway, they are limited edition, these pieces, and of course I bought the Wookiee. Well, I bought the Chewbacca, or as he's called here, Chewbacca. And he's 2 of 20, and I bought some protective cases so that he will be forever and a day mint on card. But I bought 2 because the other one was, and I didn't talk about this, and I should have acknowledged it last week as well. Our friend Turbo somehow got shipped to me a mint on card Chewbacca Life Day vintage figure. I don't know if you can see him. So he's looking beautiful in his amazing red cloak with his Life Day bauble. And I wanted him to be retained mint on card as well. That one was not an opener in any way whatsoever. So big thanks to Turbo for that as well. Which leads me to move on to what I've been watching. I've run out of money, so I haven't been able to afford anything else. So that's it for this week. So what I've been watching, despite the fact that it's been quite a week, we have still had the girls here, and so I've had to be mindful of what's being played on the TV, and making sure I don't dominate.
Yeah,
what's on there, as you do. And so what we do every year as a family, and this is quite fortuitous. What we do as a family every year is we kind of choose a franchise to watch. So every Christmas, it's like, well, what are we going to watch this year? Is it going to be Star Wars? Normally, I don't get voted. My vote gets discounted. Are we going to watch Lord of the Rings? Are we going to watch Harry Potter? Are we going to watch, what franchise is going to be our binge watch for this Christmas? And I typically lose, but I think I won this year, or I certainly didn't mind this year, because it ended up being Pirates of the Caribbean. And for me, while I'm certainly I've got Johnny Depp fatigue, when it comes down to kind of that whole thing, that whole shtick. I'm so invested at the moment in Skeleton Crew that, quite frankly, anything to do with pirates, I'm really, really up for. You remember previous weeks I watched Treasure Planet, for example.
Yeah.
Simply to kind of feed my pirate fix for the week before the next episode of Skeleton Crew. So we ended up watching throughout the week the Pirates of the Caribbean, all 5 films.
Oh,
some
nice.
Are better, some are better than others, for sure. Not particularly too keen on the last 2, but it's pirates.
Yeah.
With lots of R. And so I that was a good blast. As a result of that, I forgot I have bought something else as well. On top of that, as a result of that, because the kids enjoy it as well. As a result of that, I bought Black Sails on Blu-ray.
Nice.
Now, Black Sails is I don't know how many people know about this, but essentially it's a dramatized prequel of Treasure Island. Essentially, it tells the story of Captain Flint and his crew, of which Long John Silver is one of them. And it does it in a really, really compelling way that makes it realistic, as opposed to more of a tale, if you like, more of a fantasy tale. And it's really, really good. However, I'd never seen it. I'd only seen the first season, and then of course it was taken off air. And this was around the time that way before, should we say, more flexible streaming services were available for people. And it went out of my mind. And so, again, as part of the January sales, I bought Black Sails, and we're going through that as a family at the moment and having a jolly good time, I must say, because I said it's very, very good. Alongside that, because of the way it's produced in a very, very serious manner, we're also catching up on Deadwood. Did you ever watch Deadwood?
I have not, but I've heard really good stuff about it, though.
Deadwood is essentially a Western. It's focused on this very poor, very decrepit mining community that's, I don't know whether it was during the gold rush. No, I think it's during the gold rush. They're basically sifting the local rivers for gold, for gold ingot. And it's about the community, and it stars Ian McShane and, of course, Timothy Oliphant. And it's a really, really, really good series. And so we've been kind of, because of it's got a similar kind of serious vibe to it as Black Sails. So we've been watching that alongside our pirate fix as well. So Pirates of the Caribbean, Black Sails, Deadwood, and really that's kind of been it, with the exception of a promise I gave you before Christmas, which was that I would find a time over the holiday to watch Wicked, which I did. And I did yesterday. And
nice.
I really enjoyed it, Sean. I really, really enjoyed it. I have to say, you were right. My daughters were right. My wife was right. And I was very, very wrong.
I won't tell her
Um,
you said that.
no, no, no. It's not. And these days, dude, these days, she knows she's right without even having to ask for validation. Um, so no, everyone was right. Now, one thing I did have to ask, of course, was because I did fall asleep during the live the live stage show that I took everyone to, but I didn't experience it myself. Was how close was it to the stage production? And from what I understand, it's relatively close.
Yeah,
It's relatively
from what I
close.
remember, yeah.
And so yes, I was wrong, and I thought the production values are amazing. The the acting and the singing is phenomenal.
Yeah.
The world building I think is fantastic. So yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's got a barely 2 thumbs up on this side over this side of the pond, and I don't
I
know
think you're
what else to add apart from yes, Sean, you were right.
well. I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time to watch it and give it a chance. Um, like trying to be spoiler free for anybody because I'm a firm believer that like this first part was for people who know the whole story
Hmm.
because like you don't want to know what happens in the second part ahead of time. Like if you don't already know, like that's something there's spoilers that could happen. And so like people who see the first part may be tempted to find out what the hell else is going on. And to your question about like, oh, does it stick true to the play? I think part one does for sure. I could see part two deviating because
Yeah,
they got a lot to flesh out, and I'm like, they may have to pad some things in ways,
right.
because it's gonna move quick. Um, so I think that'll be interesting to find out when we get next year when part
So
two comes out.
so they didn't spoil it for me. I mean, bearing in mind I've actually seen this, albeit I haven't. But the kids actually didn't spoil it for me. But that's exactly what they said.
Yeah,
Was that God? They've got to cover. They've got an awful lot to cover in a short amount of time.
yeah, it's gonna move quick. So it'll be interesting to see because with the play there's certain shortcuts you can take. Like it's a play.
Yeah,
Like but with a film, it's like you can't move at that pace and be like, and now you can't have like a narrator do exposition and be like, and now we're here.
yeah.
It's like it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But I'm not a big musical guy. You know where I stand on this. But it's like besides Muppet Christmas Carol, like that is my one.
Sacrosanct. Yeah.
Yeah, that's different. But this one, I think they're doing a good job. I'm the acting and stuff. I was genuinely surprised by, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. Like that's cool. That makes me, woo, go us.
Yeah. No. Very, 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 very good. Very, very good. And I'm just going through my list at the moment, and I genuinely think, yeah, I genuinely think that's it. So,
Did, did your
the
family
quite
reward you with a bubble bath or anything for finally switching over to the light side,
no, no, no,
the
no. I
the
think
green side per se?
no, 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 no. Well done. No, no. I think I just got for the first time a little bit of respect from them. Um, no, Dad's not such an asshole after all.
Well, we all play our part. So
Yeah, my work is done. So yeah, that's been my week, buddy. I mean, it's been quiet, but it's been a nice quiet. It's been an involved quiet, which is great. Which leads me on to I I I I I can't stop watching Skeleton Crew.
yeah,
I have rewatched. Every time. So thank you, Josh and the team over at Star Wars Spelt Out. They very kindly invited me to join them again for the latest review, the review of the latest episode, and I just love it. I just love it, and every single time I watch it, I end up rewatching it, but I end up rewatching it with the previous episodes as well. So
nice.
add a story. Actually, it's quite an interesting experiment doing it that way because it means that you kind of can put context into what's happened this week to the wider story. Well, certainly for an old fart like myself, it's a lot easier
It
to
tightens it
kind of,
up.
yeah. And the story's really, really good. Really, really good. And I have heard, I wouldn't say naysayers, but people that it doesn't resonate with, and that's fine. That's absolutely fine. And they've got, they have intelligent arguments that's around it. But yeah, no, I'm really, really invested. I'm really, really invested. I'm really, really enjoying it. I'm adoring the world building. I'm loving the special effects. I'm loving um the naivety of the kids. I'm loving the sincerity of the kids. There's no brattishness about them. There's no child star bullshit that you get with an awful lot of ironically Disney productions. But do you understand what I mean? It all seems genuine and legitimate.
It's not rooted in like kids being mean first, and
No,
then like as a source of being funny. Like
yeah,
that's what I really like about it. It's not that you don't have mouth there, like which and it, at the time was great, but then like it became the trope of like, oh, how do we make kids funny? They've got to be mean and act like adults. They got to have an
yeah,
adult mouth
exactly,
and things like that. It's like they can be funny in
exactly,
other ways.
exactly. And an awful lot of that is them discovering themselves.
Yeah.
Um, I think that, and I'll address it. I mean, we can talk through the episode itself in a second, but I don't know how. Let me do the right thing and offer it out to you first. What was your summary of the latest episode 6? What was your parting thoughts of this week? Because mine was pretty strong.
So I think I need to paint a picture first before kind of going into that, like, because it's relevant.
Yeah.
So the episodes drop at 6 p.m. our time here, and it was on New Year's Eve. So 6 p.m. New Year's Eve. And for those who don't know, I'm hopping on the Blue Harvest Patreon immediate reactions as soon as the
Mhm.
episodes air, and I didn't want to miss
Oh,
it.
sorry. Sorry. On that point, they're excellent. They
Thank
are
you, buddy.
really, seriously, they're very, very good indeed. They're raw, so they're straight.
Yeah,
The,
they're
the,
very
the,
raw.
no, in a good way, as in edgy.
Yeah.
As in the minute that you've watched it, you guys connect, and you're feeding back to each other in real time, sometimes without any thought, which actually sometimes is the best reaction you can give.
Yeah.
So if you're not listening to Blue Harvest Patreon, if you're not a Patreon for Blue Harvest, but what are you doing anyway? But listen to if you are a Patreon, please listen to the immediate reactions. A, my buddy Sean's on it, and B, what they say is really sound, really solid as well. Sorry, Sean, I interrupted you there, but
Thank you,
just want
buddy.
to ring the bell.
Thank you. And make sure you listen to Andy on Star Wars Spelt Out, where they have more coherent conversation. I think it's like it's definitely a much more roundtable discussion. I think you guys make a lot of really good points. I haven't listened to this week's yet because I've been dead, but I've been really enjoying those as well. So yeah, it drops at 6 p.m. our time, and I do that immediate reaction. But like it's New Year's Eve, and so everything around here closes super early. So most places are like, oh, New Year's Eve party from 7 p.m. till 10 or whatever. And then the casinos are the only thing that stay open. So when we had this New Year's Eve party thing, not really a party. It's not a party. It's like a dinner thing with light snacks, etc. Blah blah blah. At 6:30, and Madison's like, just bring your headphones, or like, don't come and then come later. But I'm like, no, I'll go, and then I'll watch it. Since it doesn't start till 6:30, I'll watch it at 6. It'll be done probably about 6:30 something. I'll do the call with Hawes. And so like I'm sitting outside. I didn't realize like this sounded really good in my head. It did, and it worked out great. I'm sitting outside in the 20-degree Fahrenheit weather on a rock next to the lake with the wind going, with my headphones in the nighttime with my phone like this, like a couple inches from my face, watching this episode. And man, what an episode. I'll get to the episode, like watched it, and then I took the call with Oz afterward.
Wow.
But it's like, so there's a lot of emotional context of like, oh, I'm in the cold, I'm bundled up, I'm outside in the elements.
So you're living the experience.
Oh, it's like 40x movie theater kind of.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. You're living it and bought it.
And then so you're already not comfortable kind of like I'm not on a warm sofa with the heating blanket on me. And so then like parts of it get stressful. And then I get up and start pacing in circles like I'm on a stressful phone call. And then I'm like, what am I doing? The cop's going to come up. So I'm over here in the dark in the not lit area of the lake. People are like, what is he doing? So I go back and sit on my cold rock again. And then I'm like, oh God, what? Like, oh, this episode, it's so crazy. But all that to say, that's the context.
That's so funny.
So it may have a little bit of like its finger on the scale, but all I kept thinking about is like the first thing I'm going to say when Hollis talks to me is like, or when Andy talks to me is like, I'm not crying, you're crying. Like, who's cutting onions? Because you know what? You guys know I love KB.
Yeah.
This episode had everything I love. It's got goofy creatures. It's got KB with a level of vulnerability and things that relate to kids that is with something I would never expect from Star Wars, especially a live action Star Wars, maybe animated, because it's easy to shoehorn into there. But I'm still just talking about it now. Like I'm bringing myself back to that moment. I'm like, I'm blown away to the point where I go inside after getting off the call and like Madison and her friend look at me like, how was it? How was the call in the episode? And I'm like, I can't put into words for people who aren't watching the show how meaningful and vulnerable the conversations and relationships that are on between these kids on this show. Like,
wow.
You're not going to get it until you watch it. Like, I want you to watch it just so like take Star Wars out and just the seriousness of the competition. I love it.
I know. And I keep occasionally my wife will jump in and listen to us.
Yeah.
And occasionally I'll ask her for her opinion about, how do you think we're doing? How do you think we're doing? And Lucy being Lucy, she's she's not shy at coming forward.
Yeah.
And she said, how many times are you going to talk about Andor being a great drama that just so happens to be in a Star Wars universe? And I said, I probably forever. And she said, well, not only do you still do that, you're now saying that Skeleton Crew is an amazing story that just so happens to be, or fantasy story that just so happens to be set in a Star Wars universe. I said, well, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. At this moment in time, that's my favorite Star Wars. It's my favorite Star Wars. It's Star Wars that A doesn't take itself too seriously, but B does not ground itself in its history. It is not shackled by canon. It's not it's doing the right thing. It is acknowledging diversity. It is doing the right thing. It is pioneering when it comes down to television. And when you do get around to listening to my thoughts, I hope you realize that on Spelt Out, I hope you realize that what you've just said, I pretty much word for word said as well when I was talking to Josh.
Well, sorry, even to that point, I think it's like, I get that we wax poetic about some of the things that we love, and that's the vibe of our podcast. But at the same time, I think for so long there's been so many people out there, like there tends to be this desire, and like you feel like there's a requirement to provide criticism. It's like we're all food critics, and it's like you can't just say I loved it. You have to provide some kind of, but I would have done this because that it lends validity to our argument and our stance as whatever. It's like, but I'm not trying to be a critic. I'm not. I'm not in the arts. I'm not in media. And you know what I'm here for? I'm here to talk about the things that I love with my friends and things like that. And I think at times it's nice. The podcasts that I love and I listen to are the ones that talk about the things they like and why they like them. And then, me, a little cockadoodie speculating, like, and I think that's like, you know what? It's good to have somebody put their hand on your shoulder every once in a while, even if it's through podcast form, being like, you know what? I really liked it too. And at the same time, especially if I don't like something, if I'm struggling with something, aka, I'll be honest, the Luke Skywalker scene in The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Dude, that I struggled with that for a very long time. I've like, but then seeing my friends and seeing other people love it so passionately, it helped me like come to terms with it, process it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like process it in a way of like, it's okay that it's not for me, but you know what? I'm getting joy from other people doing it. And
Exactly.
I think with Skeleton Crew, I have never felt I've never had such an overwhelming reaction to a show. I loved Andor. I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Top tier. But it did not make me feel the things that I feel in such an overwhelming way like Skeleton Crew is doing. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to talk about that because you know what? Maybe there's somebody else out there who's like, this show, I can't put into words why I cannot take my eyes off, why I'm willing to take headphones with me to New Year's Eve party, that I'm going to go sit outside in the cold for a minute and then like watch this because like, it's just, it feels so right.
Yeah.
And I've loved that about this show.
Excellent.
And if it's not for you, hell yeah, I support that too.
Excellent.
No criticism.
Man, no, man. I am. I love the fact that you God, listen to us. Listen to us. Oh, I love you, man. I love you. I love you, man.
You know what I like? I like when the sun comes up. Me too, man. The sun is awesome.
I love the fact that you love it so much. I over the year or so of me knowing you, I've kind of got to know your tastes a little bit, of what you like. And I love the fact that this ticks pretty much, if I was to characterize Sean Hoffman, of what you like, and what genre the genres that
young adult reading level, right there. That's me.
Exactly. Well, yeah, but that's not a bad thing, dude.
No, I know.
That's not a bad thing, dude. If that's what I find some content too cumbersome. Yeah. When all I want to do is switch my brain off. All I want to do in life is switch my brain off. I work hard enough as it is. And all I want to do is switch my brain off and have a good time. And so if that means young adult reading level, AKA, I think Bloodline, one of my favorite books was meant to be a young adult. Certainly, Lost Stars, one of my favorite stories in all of Star Wars, including the OT.
This show, I made a note earlier when you were talking about Lost Stars, the manga. This show gives me hope that something like Lost Stars could potentially be made, like in animation or in live action.
Yeah,
it's like
it
gives me hope.
I mean, look at that story. It's right smack bang in the middle of the Skywalker, timeline, but doesn't even touch that family. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Anywho, no, man. I mean, summarize where we are on that episode. The way that and you've talked about it a lot, but the way that, and I'm gonna copy you. The way that they represent disability, I think is fantastic. Particularly the way that disabled people that have an issue that is not visible, that is not apparent, that is not that is very, very easily ignored by, shall we say, in air quotes, normal people, when really they are challenged. I think was amazing. And what I mean by that is I'm talking about, her friendship with her best friend was is being tested because her best friend believes that she could do everything that she could do. Because her disability is not as apparent. And clearly the girls had we know that she already says that she thinks that she can do the same as she always has done prior to the accident. So clearly she's had an accident, which has given her, which is necessitated the need for has necessitated the use of augmentation, or augs she calls them, in her physical body. But the fact that the story, but not only the story, but the lesson that was taught during that episode was really about, not really about KB. It was really about her best friend understanding and not assuming, understanding what she's going through, and not assuming that she knows what's best for her.
Well, I think to add to that, I mean, forgive me, everybody, if everybody else has already talked about this in all the pods that I haven't listened to, but I think the low hanging fruit is the relationship between KB and Fern, but that next level is the power of Wim, in Wim's not just his innocence, but where his true center is. It's he may be, for lack of better terms, a dumb dick when it comes to hey, let's make responsible decisions and maybe don't push the button, but I'm glad he did. But it's when challenged with heartfelt moments and doing the right thing, whether it's going to get the lightsaber, even though he's maybe not equipped to do that, or to be naturally innocent and caring and empathetic with somebody. She's you can just be our friends. You can just be friends with me and Neil.
Yeah.
And just and his ability to just jump in and do the right thing. And his
unconditionally. Yeah.
Unconditionally. And his definition of heroism, which KB called out, is maybe skewed towards fairy tales in his comic book, his digital comic books. But what he did, and when she's I'm sorry, you thought saving somebody's life would be a little bit more heroic, or whatever she said, basically calling him out you think it's what you see in the comics, but what you just did is whatever Jedi. It's Wim, you are the slow burn. I hate that term. You are the slow burn of a character that I think people by the end of this show, hopefully, fingers crossed, people are you know what? He grew on me. He really started to grow on me in there, and I feel we're gonna start hearing that more and more. Of oh, he's not so.
He's growing on me. But one of the questions I had for the team on Wednesday was, Wim is also an alpha in that team. So you've got two, Fern, you got Wim, and both of them are very headstrong. Both of them have, I wouldn't call them subservient, but both of them have friends that they do manipulate one way or another. And so while Wim, I do 100% agree with you, I do also wonder if he is going through his own development journey, his own journey as well, and maybe thinking to himself, maybe sometimes I treat Neil like this as well. Yeah. In that, I kind of push Neil along with my ideas. I don't really consider his ideas, or whether an alternative view may well be the best approach to something. Exactly. I'm pretty much so I do wonder whether this will, while I believe Wim behaves amazingly and really did come up trumps for her during the episode, I do wonder if this is a lesson that he too could also perhaps apply to Neil, who is, well, he's my MVP. You know that because I love the fact that his strength is basically his weakness, or his devout love for everything, and not wanting to fight, and not wanting to conflict.
I
But
agree
anyway,
100%. I agree 100%, buddy. I think there's a couple things there. It's like I think maybe we're seeing some parallels with the actual pirate crew. Like I see Fern being like her to me, her arc and her struggle is like challenging expectations that are set on her by people around her, whether it's being the leader, being the crew, being the oldest, the expectations set on her by her mom, and being able to reconcile and challenge that and be comfortable with who she is and what her capabilities are, instead of like the expectations that she feels like are set upon her. Wim, I feel like he doesn't have the expectations. He's just not like he's naive, but also lives in the life of comic books and like, what is a sense of adventure? Like, where do I fit into that?
I
And
do
it's like,
think he's got a. I do think he's got a story though to tell.
he does. He does. I think he's going to my prediction, speculating, here we go. I think he's going to eventually turn into the leader of, like, if they do kind of stay as a crew, I think he will be the emotional leader. And I think
Yeah,
Fern is going to become the muscle, like, not like the,
I know what you mean.
not the Bad Batch type of muscle, like Wrecker, but like
Yeah,
the enforcer, the
yeah.
Brutus, the Brutus per se.
The reason why I was suggesting that he's got a story there is that in my repeat rewatch of the episode, obviously I watched the episodes that came before it as well.
Yeah.
And one thing that really resonated with me was when it's either the first or the second. I think it's the first episode where Neil, and it's the night before the assessment, or the test.
Yeah.
And Neil and Wim say goodnight to each other. And Neil runs into a full, pet-friendly, happy house that all welcome him home. Whereas Wim walks into an empty house. There's no one there to greet him. And then we have, obviously, as part of the narrative, we have this somewhat strange relationship with his dad. I think there's, I know we've only got 2 episodes left, but I think there's a story there that needs to be resolved as well.
I think that is the story. I think that is.
Yeah. You think that the conclusion is when they find each other, they refine each other. Does that make sense?
I don't think it's going to be a side piece. I think that is the fundamental crux.
Oh wow!
Of
Okay.
The apex and resolution, the relationship between Wim and his dad and Jod, and like the things that are going to happen is going to be the story for sure.
Right. So you think that almost like the resolution of that is them finding each other again. So Wim's dad and Wim, I mean, physically find each other, obviously, because he's missing, but also finding each other again.
It'll be the piece of the puzzle that like locks in. The music goes high and choral. Something else happens.
I'm sorry, son. I'd missed you. Let me. I'll make it up to you. Yada yada yada. Okay.
Like I trust you. I trust you. Whatever it ends up shaking out to be. I'm trying not to go into my Jod speculation, my Will and Bootstrap Turner side quest, but like I think it's all tracking. Like we're seeing parallels. Yeah. It's like you have a chance to not be me. You can be loved. You can do whatever. Don't take this path.
I mean, if you remember when they were leaving, was it when they were leaving the pirate alcove, or when they approached the pirate alcove? I can't remember now. At some point, they're in the ship, and Wim says something along the lines of, "Oh, damn, we're going home," just as it was getting fun. It was like when the rest of the kids, all they want to do is get home. We need to get home. We're lost. We need to get home. Wim's in no rush whatsoever. He's in no rush whatsoever. I'm loving it, man. the only other thing, the only thing I wrote down, quite frankly, because I tend not to keep too many notes these days, was a KB's character development. I thought was amazing, and you were spot on. You were absolutely spot on in your prediction, not only with us, but also with Hawes as well, in that her story would very much focus on the disability message. The fact that it's focused on, if you like, the way that her best friend, reacted to her disability or treated her with the disability, I thought was a stroke of genius, but you did get it right. And the other thing, sorry.
The fact the master stroke was that they made it not about the disability, but about the emotional connection between two friends.
That's what I tried to say. Sorry, that's exactly what I was trying to say.
And the thing I completely got blindsided by was the severity of it. Yeah. I thought it was going to be like an undercurrent and undertone the whole time of like, you know how some of these shows will do, like, hey, we're gonna show something, but we're not gonna. Like, yeah. I was a little bit pessimistic about like where they go, but the fact that it's like, oh, her head opens up and it's a cavity, and like, yo, she's about to die. She's about to die because of her feelings and like not wanting like the kid stuff of like, I'd rather go to my grave than tell somebody how I feel, tell my friend how I feel. It's like, damn, adults could learn from this lesson. Like It reminds me of a story that's very kind of poignant in my life. Like growing up, just for a quick aside, growing up, I was a huge fan, hugely influenced by the band Blink-182. I've always resonated with the bass guitarist. He's the reason I started playing bass guitar. Always loved like kind of his vibe. Yeah. They eventually broke up because tons of reasons. And the bass player got a very serious case of cancer. And it brought them back together, and then they wrote this song that's about like, some of the lyrics include like, do I have to die to hear you say you miss me? Like, do I have to die? And like, and the drummer like was in a horrific plane crash, lost friends. It was like a shit ton of stuff's happened to these guys. But it's like they talk about this in the song of like, sometimes it takes these like horrible events or near death experiences to be open and honest and like just let shit slide. And it's like, there's just so much of this that are happening. It's like, you're not promised tomorrow. And
no, don't leave it too late. Don't leave it too late. Don't live with regret.
Yeah. And it's all hitting. And like, and the fact that they were able to do this masterfully with kids and kid actors. Chef's kiss.
Mind blown. Yeah.
Sorry.
No. I think that's perfect. I really do think that's perfect. Again, good writing, man. Really, really good writing. In a program that is focused on children. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
Intermingled with trash crabs.
Bookended. What? I mean, it's trash crabs. Amazing. Love them. We already have it. You know, I'm sure there was a couple of C-3POs that were certainly in pieces there that would have made Mr. Hall very, very happy, because you know how much you love C-3PO. But no, fantastic, absolutely fantastic. The other thing that I wrote down, which was basically, we should have done a bingo card or something, because I'm pretty happy with our speculating that we've done both offline and online. And one of the offline ones we had was around the ship itself. You nailed that, my friend. The fact that so just to let the listeners know, because we didn't talk about it on the pod, I didn't nail it, not quite, but I'll take it. The last week or so, I've been texting. I've been messaging Sean because I've been intrigued by the design of the what's the ship called? Come on, the Cinder,
Onyx
Onyx
Cinder.
Cinder, the Onyx Cinder. I've been perplexed by the design. It didn't make much sense to me. It didn't make much sense. It seemed rather gangly. It seemed rather. It didn't speak. It didn't
It's never had
seem.
its hero shot. It's never had its
No,
hero angle
no,
shot that like
It
makes
was.
it look awesome. It's always
I
weird
remember.
angles.
I remember. Adam Savage always saying that a heroic design, typically you can tell by a silhouette.
Mm-hmm.
So you can tell the silhouette of the Millennium Falcon.
Yep.
You can tell the silhouette of the X-Wing. You can tell the silhouette of most things. And certainly Dub Chang talks about it an awful lot as well, as to the immediate recognition of something that's new that looks so goddamn familiar.
Yep.
And I could not, you and I are both Starship porn buddies. We love our ship designs. We love the aesthetics of Star Wars. So I started looking into it, and the first thing I thought of was, where's the damn cockpit? Because I can't work out, where the damn windows are. And it took me until episode 3, maybe 4, to realize it perched on the right-hand side. You're looking straight at it, it's perched on the right-hand side, the opposite side to the Millennium Falcon, but very much offset, similar to the Millennium Falcon. But unlike the Millennium Falcon, it doesn't look integrated into the main body. There's not that transition, that smooth transition that makes it look part of the ship. And I thought to myself, well, that looks like a separate escape vehicle in its own right, and it still does. Still does. But then I thought about the rest of the design of the ship as well, and I thought, well, good God, it still doesn't make sense to me. It still doesn't look right. It looks boilerplatey, which is kind of like, well, Andy, that's the aesthetic of Star Wars anyway. But again, the silhouette didn't make much sense to me. When obviously it's getting tracked and they boost they jettison the I think they're shields, aren't they? I think they're extra shields and not cargo.
It's interesting. I need to watch it again because it reminded me. Like, it's funny because its name is Onyx Cinder. So it's like Onyx is a Pokemon that's like a snake, and it's almost like it's shedding its skin.
Yeah.
Cinder reminds me of Phoenix, like a rebirth.
It
does look like bulk plating, or maybe like, and also maybe like storage living quarters, because there's some meat on there when it rips it off.
Exactly. And what came out was obviously this beautiful shot of a very streamlined, very sexy looking ship. Reminded me a little bit of the Normandy from Mass Effect. If you played the game, it looks like a larger version of the Moldy Crow that the scruffy guys are obsessed with.
Yes.
Yeah. So it looks a little bit like the Moldy Crow, which was a small freighter, which I believe Kyle Katarn flew in a couple of the Jedi Knight games back in the day. But the point being, it's not a silhouette. It's aesthetically pleasing now. The cockpit, interestingly, is still on the right-hand side. It's still to the side. And it still looks a little bit like a separate escape vehicle in its own right. But all in all, the vehicle itself looks a lot more solid. It looks a lot more fit for purpose, if you like.
Do you think it's because it's a pirate ship, like it's more modular? Like, do you see the cockpit almost like a pirate dinghy? Like, Jack Sparrow's getting away again in the cockpit.
Exactly that. I think that and I could be wrong. We need some goddamn play. Trouble is though, you go online and start looking at schematics and you end up with Lego sets, and it's like, nah, that's not what I'm looking for. But I don't know. I need to. It certainly looked separate to the main body when the shields were on, or when the plating was there. It doesn't. It looks a little bit more integrated now, but it still could carry itself off as a separate vehicle.
I think
Which,
we're gonna get more when the season's over. I think they're gonna be like, haha, you see the big picture now, and here's
yeah, yeah,
all.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, so it docks into something else.
Yeah,
You know, the escape vehicle can dock into, I don't know, something else, a robot mech or something. I'm obviously going off on one at the moment, but anyway, point being is that um, we had this discussion before the episode. So I'm taking that as a win and something else that we called before the event. Interestingly, in the and I can't remember where I found. I'm gonna find it. I've got a lot of time on my hands at the moment, and I'm going through an awful lot of my EU material. But I do believe that the cockpit of the um, YT-2400, which is I'm trying to think of the goddamn ship's name. It's from Shadows of the Empire. Who can
vamp,
smuggle it? Say
vamp,
again, sorry.
vamp for it. I'm looking for you.
The YT-2400 light freighter, that was the famous one, was the, oh good god, Outrider. It was the Outrider, and it was in the game
Dash Rendar with
that's right,
Shadows of the Empire.
that's right. It was in the game Shadows of the Empire. It was flown by Dash Rendar being the stand-in for Han Solo, because it was set between Empire and Jedi, so there was no Han Solo around. But I believe that the cockpit of that particular vehicle was also an escape vehicle as well. So it's kind of lends itself to that. God, that's a long roundabout way of explaining that I'm taking a win for this week's prediction.
I will say, I forgot to add, like, when you because you sent me that message, you sent me a message on Discord a couple days before, like maybe a day or two before the show aired. He's like, because we do this, we'll just send each other. I usually send things that are just nonsense and inflammatory. You send like legitimate things of like, hey, do you think that ship cut like the front comes off the back? And like when I watched it happen, I'm like, Andy's got an insider. That dude has some connection. Like it was just so perfect and focused. I'm like, this dude has been 51 episodes in. He's got an insider who's scooping him stuff. Like, or he's just that spot on. Like I was sitting there thinking about it like most of the night of New Year's Eve. I'm like, that's why I messaged you. I'm like, I'm not gonna tell you anything about the episode, but I have a question for you. As soon as you watch this, I have a question for you, because it's gonna be. But then I got sick, and I was like, "How did you know? Like, how did you know that happened? Tell me."
I genuinely had too much time on my hands. And I was just thinking about every now and again. I just go down a rat hole of ship design.
You go into the Spacing Guild, you put your helmet on, the Spacing Guild, and then you have the foresight to see the puzzle pieces come together.
Well, I kind of also look at things like the guy, the film, the game Starfield. I'm hooked. I'm hooked into the when I do play, which is very rare because it's such an expansive game that I lose my attention. My attention span is not worthy of that. Sorry, I'm not worthy of that game because my attention span is so bad. But as a shipbuilder functionality, and I love looking at the forums. I love looking at the forums and what they build and how close they can get. And then there's other forums out there where they kind of create their own Corellian YT light freighters, and I love that kind of stuff. And I've even tried it myself as well on a few call out years and years ago.
Sorry, I interrupted you there. But I wanted to get you before you left Starfield. If they released a DLC that was just like, we give you all the parts in the game and it's just a shipbuilder, like a tiny Glade and all these other games that are cozy games where it's just building stuff, I'd pay for it. I'd pay for it. And
So
I'd be like, just let me build a cool starship.
So would I, and maybe export functionality to print. to send it to a laser printer.
Let me send it to a 3D printer and just like, if they had that ability, I'd pay a lot of money for this. Just to do it, I'd pay $10-15, whatever. But if it could export like the rough models, because like games like The Last of Us and stuff where they're like, oh, your add-on achievements are you get the 3D models of things and you can spin around, zoom in, see how grody they are. It's like, just let me have them. Let me have that. Let me have that. Let me play with it. It doesn't have to be high fidelity, like super insane full detail. Like, the modders can give it to me. Just let me export the ship I made and let me play with it. Like, let me 3D print it. Like, I'd pay a lot of money for that. Not a lot, but like a lot.
Yeah, you paint the, you'd take it into
add it to the pile.
Take it into add it to the just crafting pile. Exactly. But yeah, no, that'd be fantastic. So yeah, no, that's KB's story and the ship shedding its skin were really the two standout moments for me. But I'm loving this. I guess all that leaves is I'm not going to go through the whole story because we're late this week and there's a bunch of folk that have already speculated and kind of pretty much aired the same kind of views as myself, or maybe have gone down different tangents. But in the last two episodes, how do you reckon they're going to pace the last two episodes, mate? I mean, the race is on now to the planet, to the vault. The race is on. Are they gonna, how do you reckon they're going to stretch that over 2 episodes?
I think we're going to have another week of, this week was like part 1, and I think next week's part 2 of we're in different circumstances. Like, okay, starting with the pirates. Jod was on the bad side, and now he's in the middle with them of like, next week's going to be getting to Ad-Atten and like starting something. The kids still don't have, like, they're on their way, and they're going to like, it's like the race to Ad-Atten kind of thing. And there's going to be some hijinks and some crap that come in. Maybe we get a little Hondo Onaka, maybe like, and I think it's going to be like getting there and kind of gearing up for the reunion of sorts. We still don't know who the supervisor is. Like, we haven't met back up with the parents. Like, I think there's some stuff that's going to happen on Ad-Atten. That's my prediction. And how they're going to drag it out. Like we're going to continue to see more cogs fall into place on the more of the board is going to be revealed. I don't think it's going to be filler, because I know, I'm sure people are like, oh, it's going to be filler. But I think it's going to be setting up for the final episode to be a big culmination.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think we're going to have and again, I spoke about this with Josh and the guys. I think we deserve a reveal. I think at the end of, should we say, episode 7A, or the penultimate episode, we're going to get a reveal. Be that either the supervisor or the pirate, or indeed both, if they're the same person. And that will determine the conclusion in the finale.
Does that make sense? I do. Do you see the pirates getting there first, but like not going guns blazing, and maybe set almost like Lord of the Rings style, where like, oh, they're in the outskirts building up their giant pirate forces, and the kids just go straight into the capital or wherever they are, and they get captured, and that's where we get the reveal at the end of the penultimate episode, where it's like the parents and the supervisor are all together, and the kids are like, then all of a sudden it's, I don't know how it could go anyway, and I'm going to probably be happy, but I'm just like, how does this shake out? Because I just feel like the pirates, story-wise, aren't going to come in guns blazing and be like, there's going to be, for some reason, why they're there, but they're stalling.
Yeah.
To give.
I don't know, man. I genuinely don't know, and I'm up for anything. I just don't see how Horst talks about this when he talks when I mean I listen to you guys all the time, because you're my buddy and also it's good content. So I listen to reaction episodes, and there's something else on that planet. It's not. It can't just be the vault.
There's more mysteries at hand. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So just as a quick exercise, what do we not know? Like that feels like that in Star Wars worlds feel like could be a reveal. We don't know what happened to Wim's mom. We don't know who the supervisor is. We don't know the face and anything about the captain, whatever the hell his name is.
The pirate, yeah, the pirate dude. That thing, I wouldn't say bothers me, because nothing bothers me, because I'm loving it. But that bothers me in the context that why disguise the face if
it's intentional?
If there's no relevance to it, exactly.
The owl hasn't come back. Like that there's strands that are frayed that like, okay, are they gonna, with everything else it's been so intentional to show, it feels like some of this stuff is gonna have to come back. The New Republic is gonna be involved in some way, shape, or form. I'm hoping maybe it's just at the end and they're like, thanks for sending us the coordinates. Like, I hope it's, I don't know. I don't hope. Like, I think that makes it seem like I have an expectation or intentions, but it's just, I hope it's not like Luke Skywalker comes in and kills them all and it's like, oh, we did it. Yeah, I'm a
Jedi. If there's one thing that I'm a little bit disappointed about, and I don't like doing this because at the moment I am really freaking loving it. If there's one thing that I'd say I'm a little bit disappointed about, it's probably understanding the point of the X-Wings at the moment. We've had them show up a couple of times now, and they've been called in. They
haven't been necessary.
They haven't really been necessary to the story. There could have been another plot device to use. I guess they needed to leave with haste from the Owl Lady's castle laboratory side.
But they didn't.
I guess they had to edit it all out. But they didn't need to leave with haste. Yeah. It could be just, okay, got the coordinates. Thank you very much. We're now on our way. Which suggests, I guess, that there will be a need for the Alliance, or sorry, the New Republic to play a part in the finale somehow. But how, I don't know. I just don't know, because in theory they shouldn't know what. I mean, do they know where the planet is? Because
I don't think they do. I think that's going to be the reveal, and I think that's part of this. So the thorn in my side, it's a very small thorn, has been the constant kind of background conversation of like, how does this connect to the Mandoverse? Because they said somebody somewhere at some point in time said it's all connected. You got to blah blah blah, yeah, blah blah blah, whatever. Or it's connected to Ahsoka. I don't remember because I don't care. And I think that I wonder if like that's that thing that's going to end up connecting it in some weird way in the end. Like, oh, we just have to keep adding, like, we have this good story and we had to kind of bolt the New Republic on in the middle, on sides, and not affect the mainline story. And then at the very end, they're going to be like, oh, now we discovered this planet, and somehow in the future it's going to connect in some weird way.
Yeah, the bit that bugs me is that they must know what Atatsin is. Sorry, my mic's playing out. They must know what Atatsin is, because the Owl Lady called them. The Owl Lady has helped Space Dude and the kids to the next step.
But she also said you wouldn't believe me if I told you. So it's like they may.
Yeah, I guess. But you wouldn't. They must. She must have told them, because you don't call out the cops without a reason. You know what I mean? They probably charge you. They probably charge you for wasting their time if you don't actually explain why you didn't call them out in the first place.
I don't remember who said it. But it is funny when I can't remember, one of our buddies said it's like all these shows do make the New Republic seem like the most incompetent.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, they've taken over from the Jedi as being doofuses. The 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 only thing I can think of, sorry, one thing I can think of, not the only thing, but one thing I can think of that is positive is that this is what is remaining of the tissue or the original plot for what would have been Rangers of the New Republic. It's the only thing I can think of that would be remotely positive. I mean, before certain actors made fools of themselves by saying some very, very silly things and naive things. I love the concept of Rangers of the New Republic. I love the idea of Rangers of the New Republic. I thought it was, an opportunity to again portray the any man or every man story, without without it having galactic consequences. And so,
all right, I like this. I like where you're going. Let me.
And so
go ahead.
Let me just finish this off. And so, for me, I would like to think it is an opportunity for the pirates, or should we say the underworld, to be more a continuing plot device, whether it's with the same people or not, who cares, but a continuing plot device with more involvement from the New Republic going forward. That's all I had to say.
No, sorry for interrupting. I get so excited about my speculating. And now it's like, oh, compounding on that, a positive based on what you're saying, maybe it could be as dead simple as when Jod turns at the end to be good and sacrifice and save the planet, whatever, could the New Republic just be the means at which he faces the consequences for his actions? They're like, well, you're under arrest. And he's like, and I understand that. And they're the ones who can take him away. Like, that's at the lightest, that could be the lightest that they could be involved. They're simply the ones who take him away and he faces the consequences of his actions. Or maybe something bigger. But I like where you're coming from with this. They're the connection to the pirates in the New Republic and bringing this into a larger whatever verse. Like, it's just...
Dude, I'm just loving. I didn't realize I was on mute. Sorry. You can keep that in. What you missed me saying was I'm just loving it. I'm just loving this whole pirate thing, and I think it just brings a grittiness, a freshness, a sense of ridiculousness about the whole thing. Yeah. It's so goddamn flamboyant and deliciously cheesy. I friggin' love it. What can I say? It's a series that I've really, really enjoyed, and I will continue to rewatch it. And
it's the recipe of what the good things about Star Wars, and including the EU.
Yeah.
Without the edgelordiness of all of it.
Dude, you go crazy with this. Crimson Jack. I mean, there are some. I mean, Crimson Jack in the EU is hilarious, absolutely hilarious. He's so pompous, up himself. As our friend King Tom says, he never wears pants. He never ever wears pants. He needs pants in space. He can. I mean, the whole thing is just he rides around in a stolen Imperial Star Destroyer as his main base. It's like the guy's cool as hell. On top of that, you've got from that very same EU think tank at the time came things like Jax the Green Rabbit. It's like Jackson the Green Rabbit. I just love that stuff, and it's so rich. It's so ridiculous it's delicious, but also it's so detached from the Skywalker saga, which you can leave sacrosanct. You can leave that. You can tie that up in a bow and leave it, and it's protected. Nothing's going to impact it. There's no threat. There's no threat to everything that you love about Star Wars at various times. It's it's great. It's fantastic. It's individual. It's unique. I like it.
I'm hoping that this is a turn, like a changing in the tides with the Star Wars universe, similar to what you saw with the MCU and other things, where we look back on a certain time period and say, oh, prior to Skeleton Crew was when everything was serious. Everything had to be factually connected. Pablo Hidalgo, how does this ship fly on screen and come out in the same spot in the next scene? And everything's got to be, I need my lore. And then similar to what with like Thor 2, like Thor 3 and Guardians of the Galaxy did, it's like, oh, we took this like dark and gritty universe and then we introduced a lightheartedness to change with the times. And like, it can be both and all still connect.
But what they didn't do, they didn't copy Guardians.
Exactly.
It would have been very, very easy to copy Guardians and for it to be a Me Too.
But the sentiment of separating itself.
I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, and that it's something that reinvented it. But what they didn't do, which was really, really clever, was take something else that's working and try and replicate it, because that would be the worst.
Yeah,
that would be the worst. What they did was they chose a genre that is more akin to the 12-year-olds that George Lucas was originally trying to attract back in 1977. It's really, really clever.
I hope there's a behind the scenes. I don't think we'll ever get the behind the scenes that I want, but it feels like they approach this from a different direction. Instead of saying, okay, what other tendrils do we have from Bad Batch and like the Filoni stuff? And like, how do we connect and then work backwards? It's like they sat down in a room and say, what do people love? Like they did the corporate brainstorm session of, they brought in people who were like, how do we write a story that like people love? And then maybe they connected it at the end instead of working backwards. They worked forward of like writing a great story. What do people love? Nostalgia, kids, like learning like modern lessons and things like this, and like passion. And then they built from there, and then maybe they connect it, instead of the other way around, where some of the things I struggle with the Filoniverse, where it's like, oh, you got to watch 17 seasons of other stuff because you got to be in the cool kids club to understand everything, or otherwise you're just not Star Warsy enough. Like they did it.
I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. I don't think it tries to preach like that. Well, I don't know.
That was me.
But unfortunately, what you're saying is exactly right. That's the net result of, if you don't know, what does Ahsoka mean to me is the question is, what Ahsoka means to me is very different to what Ahsoka means to Lucy.
Yeah.
So all of the really, really, all of the beats in the Ahsoka series that meant an awful lot, her trials, she's going through her second lot of trials in the world between worlds, all that kind of stuff. It loses its gravitas to someone that is not au fait with the lore behind it. And so it's so difficult to kind of get, should we say, the majority of people on board with that kind of story, because it is so locked to lore. Despite how we feel about it, because I enjoyed Ahsoka.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Madison doesn't want to watch it, and it's like that. But this, I think she would.
Well, neither did Lucy, and so Lucy has watched this, and she's enjoyed it, and she's understanding why I'm enjoying it. And as a result of that, she's been on board with the pirates, with my little pirates journey at the moment. But also, my youngest daughter, Abby in particular, has wanted to watch it because she has been here over the Christmas break.
Yeah.
She has wanted to watch it the same time as me. Unfortunately, she's had to go back. She's had to go back home because she's back at work now. So going forward, we'll have to watch it separately. But she's wanted to watch it with me. And my kids never do that. They never ever do that. She's really, really enjoyed it. Really, really enjoyed it. So that speaks mountains to me.
It counts for something.
Yeah, exactly. Well, okay, dude. I think we've caught up and back on track.
Yeah.
As to where we should be. Couple of technical hiccups today. One of them, unfortunately, I was on mute. Sorry about that.
No worries.
But it was more of the same. It was more of the same excitement that I just put across about Skirt and Crew. But dude, thank you very much for recording with me. I have missed you an awful lot. I'm glad you're nearly 100%. We will be recording next week around the same time because we're trying to align 3 time zones again. So we will be a little bit later again next week, but we will make sure it certainly is within the week so that we can round out our year anniversary in style. So all that leaves me to say is thank you everyone for listening. I hope you've enjoyed our little chit chat this evening. Thank you for your friendships. Thank you for your feedback. Thank you for following us. Thank you. Thank you, Sean. Take us out, buddy.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Andy, for hopping on, being flexible with recording times. For everybody else, we're so glad you spent some time with us today. If you enjoyed the episode, be sure to subscribe or leave a review. I know the apps don't make it easy, but it's in there, and we'd really appreciate it. Or share it with some friends, or talk about it on your pods. I don't know. It helps us grow. It helps us, reach people, other like-minded people who are enjoying the same stuff that we are.
Share the love.
Share the love. Pay it forward. Something, whatever the proper term is these days. Also, don't forget to swing by our website at justchillin.com for more fun ways to connect with us, including our Instagram accounts, how to connect to the Just Crafted Instagram. That's how you can send us an email or voicemail. All sorts of exciting things like that. But yeah, until next week, take care of yourselves. I know Andy likes to have his send-off as well. That's all I got.
Bye, guys. Look after each other. Stay healthy. Stay happy. Bye.
Bye.